you don't see the other side. You see yourself and you see you tired, you see with problems, you start to see the negative aspects of you, and you're not putting yourself like, the guy has the same problems. He has the same ideas, so you have to keep going here as everything is normal. And it's hard to people relate to that. When you start to get in the problems, you start to see yourself bigger than the other ones, more problems and more. And that's not going to be the right way to resolve the matter.
It's interesting that you figured out how to handle these things on your own, too, because this is it's an area that fighters seek psychological help with now. They hire psychologists and they get hypnotized and they do all these different things to try to figure out how to stop that negative conversation in the mind, how to stop those negative voices, and how to not give in to that weakness that wants you to quit.
Yes, this power we all have within. But some people don't even go for that, and they seek for different people to help them, which is good too. But once you become more intuitive, when you become more enlightened with your own potential, you're able to resolve all the matters yourself, because it's all about your mindset. It's how you think and how you believe and what you're ready for and what you prepare for and how you're able to accept and surrender everything around you.
And that these moments where you do want to quit, whether it's in training or in competition, for people who understand that and have experienced that and have overcome it, life becomes easier.
Yes, I think, martial arts, when it's practiced with a complete idea, is a metaphor for life. You become a good martial artist, you become a good person, you're going to become a happy person because you want to be able to conquer your happiness outside of the mat.
And to deal with your demons.
Yes.
And some people never fight those demons. So when something happens to them in life, some adversity comes up, they're not accustomed to handling it.
Yes.
And we're seeing a lot of that now with this pandemic. We're seeing a lot of people freaking out because they've never really experienced any true adversity in their life.
Yes, no, it's not only for that, but because they don't ever thought about how to resolve those problems. They just thinking the problem is there, what I'm going to do, but they don't thinking about how I can control the situation, how I can be on top of this, how I can, just defend myself from those demons. And if you don't see the perspective of how I can resolve my problems, you allow yourself to put your problems in somebody else's hands to resolve for you. And it's all about perspective. It's all about focus.
You've had a really extraordinary life, and it's so unusual. Your position, like what happened to you as a young man, having your father, Hélio Gracie, who's one of the most important people in the history of martial arts, to be raised by a man like that, and to be raised in the Gracie family, the most important family in the history of martial arts, in my opinion. It's pretty incredible. If you do you stop sometimes to think about how unusual and how fortunate for your life it was to be in that position?
Was like it's always been special and different. Being a Gracie, since I understand myself, because I get gi before I get diapers. So I was a special, person and a special family. And my father's friends say, oh, you're going to be a fighter too, you're going to be a champion too. So you become a Gracie even before you understand what it is. And you use kimonos, you play on the garden and wrestle everybody and play and able to throw, be able to fall, able to choke. So you start to get in that environment where fighting is normal, is recreational. You get in the environment where being a Gracie, you eat well, you be in a diet from day one. You don't drink Coca-Colas, you don't take, chocolates, ice creams. It's just about healthy stuff, carrot juices and salads and soups and this. So I've been created to become somebody special. And when you become knowledgeable about being Gracie, you start to put yourself in a line of, You know, one day I'm going to be the fighter. One day I'm going to be the representative. So all my life I was training hard with my brothers, seeking to become better than them, to get their spot or to represent in the family. And I was noticed I was talented in a very early age, and I was love competing, very competitive, and was just a great journey to become more confident in my style, more important in the family to represent. So it was just a bumpy road which have me create better strength, better mindset, better spiritual guidance.
What is it like to have grown up in that environment and then move to America and just teach Americans and teach people that are like hobbyists and just want to try it and train every now and then? Is that satisfying? Or does it frustrate you sometimes that people don't have the same level of commitment? Because jiu-jitsu obviously is life to you. It's a very significant aspect of your being.
Yes, jiu-jitsu, it was exposed to me as an art form, as something our business, our way to express ourselves. My father always with gi, showing things, and in the academy, and my brothers and myself, I start to become like, I want to be a teacher too. So being a instructor, being a jiu-jitsu representative was not only for fighting. The fighting actually was just the back, is on the secondary level. You're not there to fight anybody. It's not there to challenge anybody. You're there to just teach. And if somebody say, yeah, but I believe box can, okay, let's fight. Oh, but I believe judo can, so let's fight. So whatever style come up with the idea, capoeira, whatever style come up with the idea, he could face a jiu-jitsu fighter. So let's prove jiu-jitsu is better, and let's keep teaching jiu-jitsu. And in the teaching aspect, completely different than the representativity and the fighting aspect, jiu-jitsu has always been a soft art. We always can accept and create strength on the weaker people. Jiu-jitsu is art for the weaker. My father, who developed a better jiu-jitsu than the one he learns with my uncle Carlos, he developed a better jiu-jitsu because he could not do one pull-up and one push-up. He was weak. He was forbidden to do exercise up to 16 years old. He could not do anything. No ride bikes.
Why?
Because he has vertigo.
Oh.
He was very skinny, very nervous, and if he ran a little bit, he passed out. So he was very weak. So from 13 years old, when my uncle Carlos opened the first Jiu-Jitsu Academy in 1925 in Brazil, to 16 years old, he was sitting on the corner watching my uncle teach. He could not train. He was there just watching and memorizing all the lines, watching all the techniques. And then one day, a student arrived before my uncle Carlos arrived. And my father said, "Mister, if you want, I can put the gi and practice with you until my brother arrives." So they start to play a little bit. And when my uncle Carlos arrived at the school, the student said to Carlos, "Carlos, I like to keep training with Hélio because he's so talented. I love to practice with him." So that way, my father started to engage on the practice of jiu-jitsu. But a regular choke, which was taught with the choke like this, using the strength of the arms, he could not do. So he had to get together and use the chest, which represents 10 or 15 more times powerful, with more leverage and less effort. So we normally say Hélio Gracie is to jiu-jitsu as Einstein is to physics. He's a creator, he's an inventor. He starts to adding leverage and angles for him to be able to do it, which transcends the physicality he learns. So with that, my father started adding techniques and angles, and actually I believe the guard of jiu-jitsu was developed not from Maeda, not from Carlos Gracie, but from Hélio Gracie, who could not have another option to fight. The only option he has is to fall on the bottom and fight. So he has an excellent defensive guard. He has strikes and ability to hurt from the bottom. and the ability to cook the guy in slow burn until the guy get defeated, either get tired or get choked or something. So my father developed a combat format from the bottom, which was not there until him show up in the jiu-jitsu scenario. So the techniques and the development we put on the jiu-jitsu makes our jiu-jitsu be accessible for weaker persons. So the weaker, he feels good because he don't have to use power. Oh, just the angle here. So we empower the students. One time I started to help my brother, Horion, to teach. I was about 12, 13 years old. Because at the same time I said to my dad, Dad, I don't want to go to school anymore. And he said, okay, you don't want to go to school. I cannot force you to do that. But don't ask me for money. I'm going to give you house, I'm going to give you food, but you make your own money. I said, okay, I'm going to help Horion to teach, and he can give me some money. And in my mind, I was set. So I was helping Horion to teach. And then I asked my dad, said, Dad, what I should do to become the best teacher I can be? And he said, if you want to be a good teacher, you learn the arm lock, and you teach a good arm lock and make sure the guy knows how to do it tight enough and perfect arm lock. If you want to be an excellent teacher, you have to see what the students need to learn. With that advice, he gave me something which is not only the physicality of the sport, but also the psychology aspect. Because sometimes you see a guy who is lazy and just... So you have to wake him up. So let's go, do this, respond. So increase your reflexes, increase the capacity for him to be connected. If you see the guy too aggressive, too tense, too nervous, you should, hey man, relax, breathe, take your time, do slow. So educate the guy to be able to control his emotions and his aggressiveness and become more peaceful. So anyone has a different particular way to learn better or to get a better information. Jiu-Jitsu can favor everybody in different ways, no matter if you're aggressive, no matter if you're mean. So with this being said, I was there to teach Jiu-Jitsu. I was there to just help people in a way to empower them. And I also there in a different road to represent Jiu-Jitsu, to fight anyone. So I was not getting in a camp to fight. If I have to fight, I just take my gi and go. I was always in shape, I was always practice, I was always training, but it was not exactly a preparation for a fight. I feel like I have to be ready because if the guy called me to go to fight on the beach right now, I have to go. So be ready was part of the game. Not being an athlete, but being a martial artist. So all those concepts differ from today's attitude towards the practice and the training. And also, some people who are competitors, they cannot teach beginners or be nice with, because they just fight too hard and they have to focus too hard on the training. Either you stay on their boat or he cannot go and help somebody else in a different atmosphere. For me, it was always, I can fight the worst guys that is today. Tomorrow I'm going to be teaching some old lady or some guy, and I keep myself focused on the leverage, on the angles, on the details. So all this gives me a sense of being a dual, not only a good teacher, but also a good fighter.
It's so amazing when you stop and think about the fact that your father was had such a unique circumstance in terms of being small and also, being there with Carlos when he was teaching those classes. But that the fact that he was small and that he learned leverage and learned to maximize these techniques, it became the most important aspect of jiu-jitsu. To this day, when I talk to people, I always say, like, the best instructors, it seems like a lot of them are smaller people, because those smaller people, they can't muscle their way out of these things.
Yes.
Like sometimes when you get a really big, strong guy, they can use too much physical strength. But the small guys, they don't have that option, so everything has to be technical. It has to be precise. It has to be perfect.
Yes. There's no arguments against techniques and timing and connection. So the ideas of learning jiu-jitsu properly is for sure the right way. But some people, they strong, and they try to compensate the lack of speed or movement with the strength. So they create their own pattern, their own way to fight, because they can afford to waste energy, because they have it. My father couldn't. So sometimes they say, oh, I don't care too much about little details because I can make it up with this way.
Because I think what it is, even though there's no disrespect to anybody who does it, but I think it's sanctioned cheating. I really do. Because if you're saying you're let's say Kamaru Usman is the 170-pound champion. Kamaru Usman weighs 170 pounds for about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy's massive. You know, he's a solid 200 or close to it. He's a thick fella. You know, he's not really 170 pounds. And that's no fault of his own. Everybody he fights is the same way. Whether it's Masvidal or, you know, all of them. Everybody he fights. They're all big people. You know, Tyron was a giant guy at 170. He was never really 170 either. No. But if they just fought at their weight class, like what they actually weigh, I think they would feel better. They'd perform better. I think you'd have a longer career. You'd probably have less injuries.
More exciting fights.
Exciting fights. You'd have more energy. You know, and I think the solution is the UFC needs more weight classes. I really believe that every 10 pounds is the way to go.
I agree. And I was the same way, man. I would cut to 45s and I would put on about 20 pounds, 18 to 20 pounds. That
you're looking thick right now, fella. You're looking about 180. What do you weigh?
70.
Cut the shit.
I'm 170.
I'll bring a fucking scale out here right now.
Let's do it.
Look how thick you are. You look like a gorilla.
I'm just trying to be like you, Joe.
When you weighed 145, man, how vicious was that cut for you?
It was pretty brutal. I mean, I walked around, you know, when I was making weight consistently and training consistently, you know, 2, sometimes even 3 times a day. Dude, I walked around like 168, 165 to 168, and I was cutting down to 45s.
And how would you do it? How many pounds would you lose day of weigh-in?
Usually I would try to get down to about 5 the day of, and I would cut all water weight, 5 to 6 sometimes even.
So would you just really restrict your diet the week of?
Yeah. I mean, I'd say probably, I mean, I ate pretty clean throughout. About 3 weeks out, I really started cutting back on portion size. And then...
Look at you. Jesus Christ, son. Shredded.
Lean.
Shredded.
Yes. Yeah, I haven't looked like that in a while, bro.
2014. Well, that's the funny thing is that's what everybody likes. They like to see people look like that, but that shit ain't healthy.
No,
like
dude,
that bodybuilder look.
Like shit, yeah.
Those guys are dying.
Yeah, I would get my ass kicked if I fought right there.
Isn't it crazy though? Because everybody thinks God, he looks
so
amazing because you can see his
weak.
six pack. So tired, right?
So right
see,
there we
that's
go.
different. That's ready to
the
go.
Next day, I'm all full of water and
ready to go.
Yep, ready to go. I got a full belly.
How much of a hit do you think it takes off of your ability to perform, though, the fact that you do that 24 hours before?
I notice it. Like I almost wish that I would do this more through training camps when I was doing it, but try to do a mock cut and then try to fine tune exactly what to eat after. Because even my entire career, I mean, I would try to have the same things that I would eat, but you know,